moved on to trade school and pursued some carpentry.
We're not quite that quick.
All right, take it
Oh,
back.
okay.
Okay, so I went to Mitchell Park Boys Technical High School.
Okay, yes.
And Mr. Mitchell, as the name applied, same as the district, was the headmaster. But then I came home at 14. I think I might have been 14. And to Mum saying, your father's had a heart attack. Oh. Oh, my God. You know, and I didn't understand. I thought it was a disease. And Dad's in bed, you know, as you'd be. And I said, I can't come in. And he said, no, come in. I said, I might catch it. And he said, you don't catch heart attacks, come in. So then I sat on the bed and talked to him. He said, yeah, my heart's not good. He said, I've got to take it easy for a while. And take it easy he did. And then Mum decided, well, this is not going to bring us any income in. So she decided to open a shop in the front of that house that we're still in Finnis Street. Mm-hmm. So if you look very closely, you'll see that there was a rather large window put in because we had to have some income coming in. So Mum started a dry cleaning agency in there, and she was always at work, Mum, you know. So she's setting up this shop, and Dad found that he could work in a lighter job rather than work at Furness lifting, because they were doing jail doors at that particular time, because there was a big expansion in jails around South Australia. So the doors were like that thick and very heavy. So he wanted a lighter job, but he had a friend over the road at a place called Shop Fitting Industries. And Shop Fitting Industries made roller skates, apart from everything else that we made. And then he said to me, because he went back to work, he had a rest for about 6 months, I think. And then he went back to work in this lighter job, working for a chap by the name of Horry Weepers, a great guy, and making roller skates, but out in the factory if we had one little area. And then he said to me, you're coming to work because we need to get you working. Pat's already working, Len's working, that's the older two.
So you're still 14, 15?
I've moved on to 14 and a half.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I'm only 14 and a half when I started work.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I did I left in October of my second year. So that was the end of school, start work. What am I going to do today? You're coming to work with me. And it was as quick as that. It was after the long weekend of October.
Mm-hmm.
And packed my lunch and off we went to work together. And because Dad was driving, and those days you couldn't get your heart repaired like I had done. I'll tell you that later. Anyway, so there I am, and I could get my little hand in the boot. So the roller skating, they had a proper frame on them. They were professionally made, and I had to get my hand down to bolt the plate to the bottom of the sole of the Rossiter boot.
Important job.
Yeah. But other things, you know, like I learnt to do other things. And he would show me how to make these rollers. So we're only working in a room half this size. And we would produce 30 a week, maybe. And they all went into John Martin's at £20 a pair. And then the boss would say to me on a Friday, Phil, I want you to put 50 ladies and 50 gents in the boot of my Fairlane. Where are you going? I had to call him Mr. Weepers, not Horry. Oh, no, that was a no-no. Well, I did call him Horry, but that's another story. Anyway, so I'd pack all these in the huge boot. I could get in the boot. And he'd drive to Mount Gambier and put on roller skating in Mount Gambier or Mount Barker or somewhere here, somewhere there, because he owned the Elizabeth skating rink, but he needed to get more income in because he just loved making money. Anyway, he brought in the skating to a lot of small country towns where he would go off and someone else would run the skating rink at Elizabeth. Because a lot of the Fridays and Saturdays, and this went on for 2 or 3 years, that we would drive, and there's no traffic on the road. You could get to Elizabeth in 3/4 of an hour, whereas nowadays it takes you an hour and a quarter.
Yeah.
And we would drive up to Elizabeth, Dad and I, and we'd pick up Mrs. Weepers on the way because Horry was going to skating that way and we'd take her up there. And then put everything into place. But we didn't have to take the skates up there because he had a stock of skates up there. Mm-hmm. So he had, I don't know, he must have had 700 or 800 pairs of skates to his that he could use. And off we'd go to Elizabeth and then we'd skate all night. And I used to pay. Until I said to Horry one day, because Horry was a huge,
Really tall.
Mr.
Yeah.
Weepers, do I have to pay because I'm working in the escape room? Who's making you pay? I've always paid. I've always paid 50 cents. Oh, it might have been 50 cents. This was back in 1960, 62, 63.
Yeah.
And he said, no, you don't have to pay. So then I'd walk in, I didn't have to pay. But it was great. And because his son worked there as well, Alan. And Alan and I are still good friends. Alan's a bit older than me. So we had these games that used to get out on the skating rink, and he'd push me along. Oh, I can't remember what we used to call it. Anyway, I'd be crouched down, and Alan would be pushing me at top speed, and we're going round. We've got to beat everyone else. And we'd get out in front, and Alan would keep pushing me, and I'd be down, and my legs are killing me because you're crouched in that position.
Yeah, the whole time.
And you come around the corner and tumble over. Oh, God.
Yeah.
And, from 1 or 2 nights skating a week, they'd someone to break their ankle or break a leg or break another. Horry'd pick them up, take them to the hospital and get them patched up. It was a great time.
Yeah.
That Elizabeth skating rink is no longer there.
Right. In the
It got,
veneer.
the swimming pool was next door and they bulldozed it and made the swimming pool bigger. But that was so much fun. But apart from that, we weren't only making skates, we were doing shop fitting.
Right.
So we would go into town and we would work in Rundle Mall or, with Rundle Street in those days, or somewhere. And every shopping centre, as they were building shopping centres around the districts, we'd get the delicatessen and the chemist shop or this, that and the other. Because there was about 12 people there. So we'd make the counters, do all the shelving. I was cutting glass. Every time he did a shop front, he'd salvage the glass and take back huge sheets of glass to the factory, lay them out on a table, and I would be cutting glass at probably 16 then, making a terrible job of it, mind you, and breaking off these pieces of glass. And I'd say, these shouldn't be cut by me, because we couldn't do the edging. We didn't have an edging machine. I'd sandpaper all the edges. And card racks. Have you ever built a card rack with all those tiers in it?
Yeah, okay.
So we used to, and they'd always be the apprentices, because there were several other apprentices there at the same time. And there was just so many things we made, shelving, counters. And it was the grounding for everything I do today. I did all come back to me thinking, oh yeah, we used to make a counter like this, or we used to make card racks like this. Because we had jigs, we'd make up jigs. You didn't make them by hand, you'd make up the jig, so you'd work back to front in the back of the card rack, screwing it all together. And then it had to be painted, so we had a painter that would spray paint them. Or if not, Dad would spray. When he came out of the skate room, he'd paint as well. And the welder.
So there was a fair bit of on-the-job training for all of this, I imagine.
I learnt to weld.
Yes.
I learnt to use we had a guillotine that could cut up. And then we started covering the jail doors. Can you imagine a door that took 4 people to lift, and we'd put it up on trestles, and then we'd cut the sheet of metal. Then we'd fold all corners, except for the last one, you had to sort of half do that and tap them in, and they were all soldered all the way around. And then in the hatch, you cut a hatch out. The jobs we used to do. It was incredible.
Sounds like you've left your mark on a fair bit of South Australia in
sounds
those
of
early
it.
days.
In jail doors.
Yeah, well, yeah. Chops and roller skates.
Yeah. Well, I didn't get away much, like out of the city. We did most of our work in the city and the suburbs, because at that time they were building Parkholme Shopping Centre, Welland Shopping Centre, Marion Shopping Centre, St Agnes, and we seemed to get the deli and the chemist shop in each one, and that became very interesting. And then eventually, it came to the time when I decided, I think I'll leave. I'd finished my apprenticeship. I'd done everything I wanted to do. I had my car, and I'm thinking, I need a bit more spark in my life. So that's when I decided to join the army.
Thank you for watching this short clip of Life Bursts. You can like, subscribe or follow for more, or head to rawcut.com.au.